All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Richard Rakin, and this is my partner, Ben. And we're here to talk to you tonight about open data for Hawaii. And tonight we'll talk about the introduction, which includes a summary. We'll talk about the project schedule, the project's budget, and also we'll finish it up with lessons learned. For the summary, we'll talk about the purpose, the end of project status, project impact, and then recommendations. And as far as purpose goes, this project, the purpose was to provide easy to understand web-based information. We have data that is publicly available, but not so easy to use and find and make use of. So we designed a website that takes this data and it provides to the general public access to understand this data and what to use. The end of project status, the project was completed ahead of schedule, actually. We ended up we took 9 data sets, translated them to interactive graphs and charts, and we have a demonstration website that is live right now at that website right there, data.hpu.edu. And I have a screenshot of the website right here, where those are 6 of the 9 data sets, and they involve different kind of things, like there's a revenue, visitor expenditure. Here, we have one right here for electric vehicles. And it talks about different hybrid vehicles and just different data and statistics. This data is available to anybody, but this way you can actually interact with it. If you were able to move a mouse over it, it would change, and you can see different things, useful things. Project impact, stakeholders were satisfied. They're happy with the product that we provided them. And recommendations, this website is a foundation. It starts with 9 data sets, but there's many other data sets out there. So you want to take from here and refine it, add more data sets and more charts, more graphs, and just keep going with it. For the schedule, we'll talk about significant dates and events, the plan to actual, and a tracking Gantt chart. As far as significant dates and events go, the project began on February 18th, and other milestone times were the client approving the design, completing the interface, the client approving of the interface, and finally the website went live. I guess one more date might be considered is the end of project, which would be, I guess you could call it today or perhaps tomorrow. For plan to actual, we planned on it having a certain date, but we ended up implementing it 3 days early. And here's our tracking Gantt chart. Towards the right half of the chart, you can see where we actually started going ahead of schedule. The dots all the way to the right are the planned, and the blue dots below it where it says 100% are us going ahead of schedule. For the budget, we'll talk about funding, subcontractors, plan versus actual, budget by output, budget by resources, and a cumulative cost curve. For funding, we had a baseline cost of about $1,900 and a final cost of just under $17,000. Subcontractors, we didn't use them. We used students. Here's a chart of plan versus actual, where we actually had a savings pretty much across the board as far as the interface goes, implementing, revising, the document materials. Total is about $2,000. Budget by output. Again, there's a slight variance, favorable variance, as you can see, on the right column, all the way on the side there, of savings. For budget by resources, again, there's a slight variance. It was about even in some spots. In other spots, there was a savings. We never actually ran over anywhere. And the cumulative cost curve was pretty close to what was planned and baseline. Almost everything overlaps. You can't even see where planned cost is because it's overlapping. Lessons learned. I'll talk about initiation and planning, executing and closing, project management, and a follow-up. As far as initiation and planning goes, the client needs were too vague. This is a software project, and we needed to know precisely what we needed to provide them, but it was kind of up to us, almost an artistic interpretation of what the project should be. That's not the way to run a project, and it caused a constraint for us. Executing and closing, the project tasks were well divided. We had a lot of groups and subgroups, and we ended up executing and closing things ahead of schedule. Project management for what worked and didn't work, we'll talk about that. And for integration, we were good on timing and scheduling, Everything worked well. We were able to bring everything together. For scope of the project, again, we weren't really sure what the scope of the project was because we didn't have precise definitions of what to provide. So that provided some difficulty. For time, again, we were ahead of schedule, 3 days, so time worked out favorably. Cost, we were under budget. Quality, the client is happy with the end product, so we're happy with the quality of our product. Human resources, since this is sort of a student state project, we had plenty of students to work with. That was never an issue at all. We had plenty of bodies to work on things. Communications went well between the team. We used a lot of email, we used Skype, we used Facebook on occasion, and phone calls to communicate at least twice a week among people actually writing the software. Communications with the client, we desired more of that. It didn't happen as often as we would have liked to. And for procurement, there wasn't too much for this. There was a web plugin early in the project we ended up going with. Other than that, there wasn't much to procure. It was writing software. And then the follow-up for lessons learned. The only thing we can really bring away from this is, again, we need to work on communication with the client so we know exactly what to provide. This isn't, it wasn't an art project where we interpret. It was a software project. We need precise needs on what to provide. Questions or comments? Okay, thank you.